Hey guys, so this is just a quick video rundown that's kind of a companion piece to the analysis that you all have access to. It's just going to go over sort of the key mistakes that we made in this particular game. So this is one of the harder losses to take, I know, so it'll be fun to go over in minute detail. Yeah, the interesting story about this game is that we were actually in the lead for the majority of the game. Like about 95% of the time, we had some kind of lead over these guys, even though it kind of felt like we were getting our backs pushed against the wall. But yeah, they were ahead on kills, but there are a couple of key differences that pretty much kept us in command of the lead for the most of the game. So we can go over that part later, but now I want to kind of cover most of the mistakes that we made, because the mistakes that we made carried pretty heavy gold swings back and towards the enemy team's favor. Like, were we not to make those mistakes, we would have probably been able to carry the game pretty easily. But I guess it's a story for almost every game. It's just a matter of who makes less mistakes. So hopefully by pointing these mistakes out, we'll be able to kind of adjust our play a little bit and clean some of that stuff up. So anyways, yeah, if you want to kind of follow along with the analysis, this will go over each of the points underneath the section that I think is like gold swings or something in enemy's favor. But yeah, we'll get started. Okay, so this first mistake we made, a tower dive gone wrong. How many times has that happened? Yeah, so we've got a really good lead at this point in the game. It's only 12 minutes in, and we've created almost a 4,000 gold lead for ourselves. We're up like 5 or so kills, and we've got a dragon and a tower under our belt, so we are steamrolling ahead. A lot of our lead is also emphasized really on the top lane, so there's a huge disparity between Yasuo and Gragas at this point. We get a little bit overzealous though, and we try to force a tower dive. We're kind of not on the same page at the start, and so the whole execution's really just, it's uncoordinated, and it's a little bit desperate, so try to force it. It doesn't work out, and we end up giving Nautilus a double kill, and also not only that, but also his team gets some shutdown gold too, because Yasuo had a pretty awesome lead. So yeah, this didn't let Nautilus back in the game, but it definitely does not help us grow our gold advantage. Okay, so for mistake number 2, this is a positional mistake. Pretty significant actually, especially considering the context of what we're in right now. So we've got 3 mid, 2 dead, not a ton of vision around the mid lane, and there's no real objectives we could possibly contest or try to get an edge on right now. We should be just passively farming underneath tower while we wait for our buddies to come up. Victor's responsible for counter engage, so we really don't have any sort of retaliation method if we do get engaged on. A lot of them are missing from the map, so the best thing to do is just to play it safe, stay under the tower, don't try anything crazy. Gragas goes ahead and overextends with his mobility spell, no less. So he's incredibly vulnerable. He's also not fully keyed up with all the items that he needs to do, so he's not really a super tank yet or anything like that. So the cost of that mispositioning is going to be either summoner spells or ultimate cooldowns or health or just straight up death. Like his death is probably a cost of what he just did. The important thing to do is to not compound that mistake and try to save him. So especially against a team with this kind of engage, they can engage really quickly. They've got multiple skill shots that can lock you down. So we're all friends, obviously, but if somebody gets out of position, just let them die. That's the cost of what they did. So unfortunately, this leads to 3 kills for the enemy team. We lose a tower, possibly some other things too, but I guess this kind of gives a general idea of what we should not do. So this mistake falls under more of our macro play. We still carried a lead with Yasuo above Nautilus. We wanted to punctuate that lead even more by getting the Rift Herald as late as possible. Unfortunately, we waited until minute 19, and we didn't appropriately communicate to the team. We kind of like saw it as like an afterthought, like, oh shoot, it's 19 minutes, we need to get the Rift Herald. Unfortunately, the map composition wasn't really conducive to doing that safely. We had Victor split pushing in bottom, and then the only other person that could tank the Rift Herald was Gragas, who is the other disengage. So you basically got both disengagers off on the side with the mid laner, with our marksman defending mid lane with just a Lulu versus multiple divers and hooks. Lulu can only do so much, and we can't really put them in that much of a vulnerable position. without expecting some sort of reprisal. So the opportunity cost of that Rift Herald was incredibly high, and we also failed to communicate to the team that, hey, Yasuo and Gragas are going to be unavailable. Stay the hell away from mid. Barring that, even if they did have like vision on us, I can't quite say that they wouldn't have just tower dove those two, because they had clear vision of Victor on the bottom, and really I don't think Lulu could do much to dissuade a Hecarim, Nautilus, Thresh, and Ash Arrow from just smashing them under tower. So yeah, this is kind of a questionable macro call that I think we might need to kind of revisit next time and prepare a little bit better for. We need to prepare at least like a couple minute or two in advance for a move like that if we've got a team that's this vulnerable without the tank. So this mistake is really straightforward. It's about as straightforward as you can get. Looking on the map, we've got mid lane inhib is open, or sorry, mid lane inhib is down. It's getting pushed in. Our marksman's committed to keeping that away from our Nexus turrets and out of our base. Yasuo is trying to make forward progress as fast as he can up the top lane, and we do not have really clear vision around Dragon. Enemy team's got full vision control over that area. In this instance, three of us decide to get vision on Dragon. This is kind of one of those typical mistakes that you kind of learn, you kind of pick up in solo queue. There's a lot of stuff you can get away with against a team that's really not super communicative or focused on vision as much as like a 5-man team is. Obviously, they have a huge investment in getting more dragons, and it's pretty safe to say, even though that we can't see them, that they're going to go for the dragon, given that they have most of the map under their control. So there isn't really any value in exploring that area of the map. In fact, it's a detriment, because considering how much catch potential this other enemy team has, it's just too big of a risk to take, especially given that the only possible reward for this risk is you can, have a spectator seat at watching the enemy team take out the dragon. So this is definitely not worth. I think that this is more of a macro autopilot mistake that we kind of will need to work out over time, but this kind of illustrates how important it is to remain clear that your position needs to be, you need to have a reason for whatever your positioning is on the map. So, and in this instance, there really wasn't a reason for these three to go down to Dragon and just to die. So it was kind of free gold for the enemy team. So this was a mistake we made about half an hour in. Fortunately, it's a really easy mistake to correct. So as you'll see, we get a pretty good pick and establish really good kill advantage from it. With that advantage, we proceed to push down mid, take turrets, and then we almost get the inhib. So the mistake that we make here is that we're all hyped up, and I think a tower dive occurs that fails, and we take a death from that tower dive, and so they get a little bit of gold back in the process of that. That's fine, we keep pushing. We do take an inhib turret as well, but in our desperation, we overstay for the actual inhibitor itself. So I think this was due to the fact that the game had felt really, really close, and we probably felt behind for the most part. But actually, at this point in the game, after all these games that we've made, we've established an even larger lead than we had before. Oh, it's only a couple thousand gold, but it's still a lead. But yeah, we don't respect the enemy team's ability to just rush us down, as well as like their long-range engages. So it's only a matter of time before they start like just chasing after us and cutting people down. So another instance of kind of like retreating or helping, offensive retreating and like helping people that got caught. Gragas did get caught here. I'm not sure how much ground the team would have made if they just let him die in the first place, considering like Hecarim's just, he's the crazy horse. So, that is one thing to consider as well. But, yeah, if we do see that we've committed an overstay, and they've got crazy amounts of engage and chase potential like that, let whoever died just be the bait, let them chomp on them for a little bit, and just keep on running. So I'm pretty sure that was super fun, spending 10 minutes of your time going over all of my mistakes and other people's mistakes. Yeah, so here are some highlights of a game that did go well.